Fernando, let's talk about velocity here. Like you just went from 1 and then you went to 8. What are we talking about here? Like, where's this capital coming from? How did you solidify a business plan that fast and put systems and operations in place to create that kind of velocity?
Yeah, great question. So I'm sure you've heard me parrot this before, and so many people have. There's this wonderful book called Traction by Gino Wickman that helps you basically create an operating system for your company. Because what we notice is a lot of business owners, or when they're starting out, they're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. And that's what causes you to get bogged down because you're not actually focused on working on the business. You're too busy working in the business. So how do we start delegating and elevating from the roles that are below our, say, hourly rate as a CEO so that we can scale? So 2016 to 2018 is when I saw the writing on the wall, decided to get out of any habitation-based real estate. I didn't want anybody living inside of my investments. It just caused too much liability, too much uncertainty. And then with kind of the political climate, we've seen this growing trend where the government is inserting themselves into housing as a, necessity and capping rents, not allowing you to collect rent, as we saw in during the COVID pandemic time. But at the same time, those landlords, they still had to keep paying their mortgage and they still had to keep paying their property taxes. So they were the ones that were losing. So decided to exit our residential portfolio over that 2-year process and then switch into self-storage. The very first thing that I do anytime I go into a new asset class is I run it myself before getting third-party managers, before getting consultants, because I need to know that the people I'm hiring are actually hitting metrics that are reasonable and not just kind of phoning it in, right? And if you never run your own self-storage facility, you don't know if your property manager is doing the appropriate thing. Same thing, Levi, with the construction side. If you've never GC'd your own project, you don't know if your GC is doing the right thing or if your CM is doing the right thing. So after about 6 months of running our first facility, which was, it's close to us, maybe a 2-hour drive in really bad Chicago traffic, we figured out, okay, we set up the system. We treated this facility as if we had to jump on a plane to go see it. And that allowed us to start looking into other states that were more favorable for running businesses. So we left Illinois and then we started doing things in Indiana, Iowa, North Carolina, Tennessee, the really good states for self-storage. At that point, we very quickly ran out of our own capital. And that's when we realized, hey, we actually need to run a whole separate business. And that entire business is just a capital raising business in and of itself. It needs its own set of staff. It needs its own set of fulfillment, its own marketing. And that's what really helped us go from, the first handful of deals to scaling up to, over $230 million of storage in less than 6 years.